ready, Mr. Lee? You ready, Mr. Lee?
Ready, Josh?
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Public Safety Committee meeting for Wednesday, September 11th. I'm joined today by Councilmember Joe Buscaino and for the very first time, Councilmember John Lee. Welcome to Public Safety. We have, and David Rue.
Oh, look.
Oh, you guys are going to fight over each other's chairs. So,
Mitch is coming too.
okay. Oh, to be joined shortly by Councilmember Mitch O'Farrell. So first we will go ahead and take we do have individuals signed up for multiple agenda items and public comments. So we will go ahead and start calling those up. Our first speaker is Corey Schmidt. Okay, Corey's not here. Mohammed Atta. Okay, no Mohammed Atta. Wayne Spindler. Mr. Spindler is not here. And Antonia Ramirez. So you have 2 minutes for your multiple items and 1 minute for general public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. September 11th marked the experiencing of sheer terror on American soil by these domestic terrorists. And I say, especially New Yorkers, I am a New Yorker, and all Americans will no longer bow down to any form of terrorism. Don't terrorize Americans because they will be held to pay. I was just having a wonderful little chat with Officer Morris, and I told him, New York cops, back in those days when they didn't have to call the fucking ACLU or legal aid or any other agency, they stood on common sense. That's why they were good cops. They didn't kiss anybody's ass. They went after the criminals. That's the city I grew up in, New York. And I'll tell you, those guys had spit and balls. Now these good LAPD officers, because they're good LAPD officers and good sheriff's deputies, they're forced to out there go kiss everybody's ass for political purposes. Their political council members are too busy licking everybody's ass while these poor cops are on the streets busting their asses. Thanks to the goddamn city attorney who's too busy trying to run for mayor. That's a joke. City attorney Michael Feuer, you need a jalapeno up your goddamn ass. But having said that, we no longer will be terrorized. That means when I go to my tent and sleep in La Placita or at the Music Center Grand Park, fuck you, I'm not going to be terrorized by the fucking Skid Row niggers, by the fucking
Can
white
you stick to the
trash
items on the agenda,
and by
please?
the fucking trannies,
Ms. Ramirez.
faggots, and lesbos, and bisexuals. Because, Monica, you don't do shit to protect public safety.
Okay, she's
There
going to go
is
into
no
general
public
comment.
safety in LA.
For 1
No,
minute of general public comment.
Be thorough. Be forthright. Whose ass are you kissing? You're not going to climb that corporate ladder on my blood, sweat, and tears, or all those who are dying on the streets. Homeless. Yeah, it's called spit, man. You ain't got none. I eat plenty of jalapeno. Yeah. Having said that, you don't know what it is to be a Mexican. You don't know what it is to have integrity and fight for something that you believe in, right and wrong. And because I don't believe in kissing anybody's ass or making money, I wouldn't take it. Not a penny or 1,000 or 1,000,000. That's why I live on the streets. It's called principle. But your mommy and daddy didn't teach you that. My parents did. And I tell you something, when you stand on principle and when you stand for what is right, it feels good. It feels good. Yeah, I got my bad days, but goddamn, I feel good. Having said that, and again, number one, God bless the LAPD for starting to do the right thing. The LAPD are now risk-taking and doing their jobs because they want to do what is right, even if they get fired. Eventually, karma will reimburse them because if they do bad things, the destructive karma will come back to bite them in their asses. And if they do the right thing, God bless them. They will be blessed. And
Okay, Mr. Previn.
Thank you. It's Eric Previn from Studio City. I take note that you're accepting a grant from the California Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training. Now that's Post, as I know it, and Post is kind of a shadow operation to law enforcement. They provide various trainings and services, and I'd just like to ask LAPD and the City Council Public Safety Committee to ask that group, and maybe they're here today, maybe not, if they wouldn't mind disclosing and sharing. Maybe we could have a session where the public can view what I'll describe as the mental health training video, because I know deputies over at LASD, possibly up to 98% of them have trained on it, and we're having a real tough time accessing what they're being taught. And I think, I'm sure LAPD has a similar training, and it's just a very important kind of benchmark. You want to make sure that the officers are getting the very best in terms of quality information about mental health if you're going to be teaching it and so widely. And I know it's an area where we run into difficulties. It's obviously nobody's dream as a police officer to be in such full-on mental health mode on the streets. They're law enforcement, they signed up for one thing, and part of that is dealing with people who are mentally unstable or challenged or having psychiatric episodes or whatever. But I think it's critically important that we have transparency on what we're teaching. So that was item number one. Now, when it comes to taking expensive computer gifts from various unnamed people in the foundation, I think it looks terrific from the perspective of the folks getting the big 13, 14, 15-inch MacBook Pro laptops. But in terms of whether or not what they're being used for and why that's happening, and why the public, can't really quite see. We talked about it at one of the earlier committees. I see Mr. Lee is finally sitting in here. The LA Fire Department is such a robust contributor to the city council candidates, UFLAC and such, that when we see all this giving going on, what we want is to make sure that the fire department and the police department have an opportunity to do their jobs. But when there's all this lathering up for political purposes, it worries people, frankly, and it worries me. And the thing I would just like to say in concluding here, if this is my last 35 seconds, is, this is public safety, or crime and safety people call it, in Los Angeles, probably the biggest city on the West Coast. And yet there's very few people participating in this meeting. And I wonder about 3 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon. It used to be early in the morning where they would have the meeting, and then it seemed like the law enforcement could show up and then get on with their day by 8:30 or 9 o'clock when it was over, or 9 o'clock. I don't know if that's a decision that was personal or just for whatever reason, but I do think that to include people in the process might be helpful. And also the agendas could have a bit more information on them. So thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Previn. Mr. Spindler?
Yes, that's right. So again, we welcome our newest nigga, John Lee, to the committee. Yay. Now, as you see here, we get our attention to number 10. Is a big fucking problem. Ally Winston suing your ass for the LAPD not complying with the motherfucking Public fucking Records fucking Act. Now, what does that mean? Well, what that means is that you niggas in the LAPD are hiding shit. They're hiding shit from John Lee. Because you see, they have dirt on John Lee involving that sexual harassment suit and Mitchell Englander, and the fact that Mitchell Englander is cooperating. Yes. But you see, they got dirt on Monica. They got a lot of dirt on David Rue. Did you know, Monica, that according to the public record, that it seems like Mr. Rue had a little arrest at a certain unconscious woman in a car? And you know what happened to that case? It got dismissed within the 45-day statute, and the DA became a superior court judge shortly thereafter. So you see, we all know what you hide in LAPD. We know about the black book. We know you got the blackmail. It all started with Charlie Beck, and it continues today with that nigger Moore. Destroy the dirt. Shred it, burn it, get rid of it, and let's start new. But no, Now, why are we holding this meeting at 3 o'clock? Because the chairwoman is a pimp and she needs to get back to the San Fernando Valley to check her hookers out over there on Burbank Boulevard and Sepulveda Boulevard and Van Nuys Boulevard, because Monica Rodriguez is the biggest West pimp on the West Coast. She's a bigger pimp than Nuri Martinez, who I thought was a superior pimp. Yes, pimping and drugs and prostitutes, money laundering through non-profits called what? Pacoima Beautiful. You don't think we know about it? I know about it. The chief knows about it. What do I want? A settlement. When do I want it? Now. So you know what? Fuck you. And you're going to get sued by another nigga named Dan for number.
Thank you, Mr. Spindler. Corey Schmidt. Thank you, Mr. Spindler. Corey Schmidt. This is your last warning, Mr. Spindler.
There you go.
I agree with some of the past comments on paying for tickets to this. All right, so Corey Schmidt for the record. All right, so I want to talk about number 10 in regards to the lawsuit for non-compliance with public access to records. That's bullshit. Say that again. That's bullshit that's going on. I do not agree with that, and that shit's gonna stop. Okay. There's a bunch of grants going on. I'm not going to talk about that because there's some shit that's pissing me off. 6 through 8, you know, I like the numbers. It sounds good, but you know what? Like, I don't think that it's correct. I don't think that a battalion for number 6 should get that grant. You know, I don't think that that's proper. And if we're talking about, you know, speaking of fire, you know, this technology that I keep talking about, this is what's causing the fire. So, you know, it's secret, it's not, you know, disclosed, but, and there's no way to track it. You can't really prove it, but I'm pretty sure that's the shit that's fucking starting it. So, I want that shit put in check. We need some meters, we need some protections. I mean, I just fucking watched a video last night of this guy with a meter. I'm going to bring one in. You get a meter and you put it next to your Wi-Fi router, and it's just dumping radio waves on you. And I sit next to one of these things in my office, and it makes me feel like shit. So I unplug it. And that's what we should be doing, is we should be taking this technology and we should be guarding ourselves from it. On to some more positive shit. Number 9, for mandatory human trafficking and slavery posting in businesses, I do believe that we should be making sure that there's a hotline to call, something like that. You know, just some help in case there's anything that's going on. But yeah, you guys want to give money away and stuff, but or accept money from other people, but I think there's some problems we need to take care of. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Corey, and that concludes our multiple agenda item cards and public comment cards. So public comment is now closed, and colleagues, items, I'd like to recommend items 1 through 9 be taken on consent. If they're terrific, no objections, that'll be the order. And that brings us to item number 10. We do have to, well, go ahead and call it into the record.
Item number 10, this is a closed session item. The committee may recess to closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1 to confer with its legal counsel relative to the case entitled Allie Winston et al. Versus City of Los Angeles et al., case number BS 169474. This matter arises from allegations that the Los Angeles Police Department failed to comply with the California Public Records Act. This matter has also been heard by the Budget and Finance Committee.
Thank you. So we'll go ahead and go into closed session. If we can please clear the chambers.